ever flooded the whole earth again? After Noah's Ark, has God ever flooded the whole earth? No? Why not? Oh, okay. Alright, so God made a promise. Listen up. God made a promise to Noah. And he said, I will never destroy the earth in this way. Even though probably we deserve it, even though probably the world has deserved it again, God made a promise to Noah and he has never done that again. And you know what? I was thinking about that and I was like, Noah's dead. You wouldn't know. You know? Why not just flood the whole earth again? Because you know what? And then I came to the conclusion. God, I came to the realization actually, not the conclusion. Dios no es como nosotros. Dios no es como el hombre. You may have a boyfriend or a girlfriend who tells you, oh my Lord, I'm going to be with you forever. Forever. Oh, and you guys, this is my favorite one. When you break up, I will wait for you as long as it takes. Okay, Lord? I will wait for you. And you know what? Listen up. And 3 weeks later, you find her, or you find him with somebody else. Why is that? God doesn't do that. Listen up. God doesn't do that. Even though we may deserve it, even if God has promised you something in your life, and you have gone back on a promise that you made him, God's promise is still there because God is God and God is not human. God's promise, if God has ever made you a promise in your personal life, and you have made him a promise but you have broken it, God's promise is still there for you. God's promise is still there for you. Now, when I asked the Lord for a word for this group, he gave me a word in John 18:25, and it was basically talking about Peter. And you guys know Peter. Peter was one of the closest disciples to Jesus. He became the first pope. And the word that Jesus gave me was the one that said that Peter denied him. Peter denied him a second and third time. Are you guys okay there? Okay. Alright. Peter denied him a second and third time. Now I said, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me by Peter denying me a second and third time? Many times, even though we know Jesus, even though you come to Mass every Sunday or every Friday, aunque tú conozcas a Jesús, many times we just like Peter and we deny him. How do we, some of you guys may be sitting there, how can we possibly deny Jesus? How can we possibly deny Jesus? Well, this is a personal question. I want you guys to answer. Is Jesus a part of every single part of your life? Don't answer. Just think about it. ¿Jesús es una parte de cada aspecto de tu vida? Many times I used to do this all the time. When I was in high school, I would just, I would go to church on Sundays, then on Mondays I would go to school and just be like everybody else. Everybody else. And if you saw me on a Tuesday, or on a Wednesday, or on a Thursday, you would never say that I went to church. And you know what? Many of us in here are like that right now. And that's not what Jesus wants. He doesn't want you to deny him. He loves you. He loves you. The reason why I picked that passage out yesterday's gospel, when Jesus was weeping over Jerusalem, is because Jesus weeps over us today. Jesus weeps. Just picture that. Think back to God, to the beginning of time when God was like, it hurt me that I created man because of the way that man has backstabbed me. Think back to that. He sent Jesus, his only son, to die on wood, on a cross. And even when Jesus came, he said to Jerusalem, "For Jerusalem, you did not recognize me. when I was here. And I think to myself sometimes, like, in my own personal life, Jesus, why do I go and I do these things if I have seen your glory, if I see your glory all the time? I come and I see kids resting in the Holy Spirit. How come I go outside and I just go and do these things? Why? Why is it that we do that? Why? Why? We need to know Jesus in a better way, in a more intimate way. In a more intimate way. This whole week, I've been feeling so bad because I see how Jesus is so sad sometimes because of the way that we treat him. We come here, we jump up and down and be like, yes, that's what about that. We run around like we're crazy, and then we go out and we are not a symbol of Christ. And that's what Jesus wants for us. That's what we're called. When you're baptized, you are called to holiness. You are called to holiness. That concert last week, it was awesome. It was amazing. God's glory came down. The classical, it was full. It was full. That was God's glory. God's glory. But what we are not called to do is to go to a concert on Saturday. Woohoo! Yeah, Jesus is great. And then just go back the next day and act like we never saw Jesus in the first place. Many times I do this. I'm not saying like, oh, you. We all do this. We all go and we go. If you are still one of those people that is like, you come to youth group, but you're still going to all the same parties that you went to before, there's something wrong there. Because when Jesus comes into your life, when you come into contact with Jesus, your life does this. You have a 360 happen in your life. 360. It just turns. Because after you meet Jesus, your life cannot be the same. Your life can't be the same. It just can't. It just can't. And you know what? We are all weak. We are all full of sin. We know that. But what we are called to do is to ask Jesus, tenemos que pedir a Jesús que nos ayude con las cosas que we are not strong enough to handle. You, listen to me, you are not like everyone else. You are not like everyone else. I'm telling you. You are not like everyone else. You're not just another person. Jesus has brought you here to this group. I know every single one of you guys has seen the glory of God, has seen the power of God, has felt His presence. Don't you want more? That's not it. Everything that you have felt, that's not it. There's more to it. There's more to it. But we have to recognize what is wrong in our lives. We have to recognize it. And we have to say, yeah, you know what, Jesus? I'm living a double life right now. I may come here and act like I'm crazy for you, but I'm always quiet if somebody makes fun of you or I laugh at the things that you hate. I do that all the time. I may laugh or snicker at something that I know Jesus doesn't like. And we have to really, as a group, ask God to help us. Ask Jesus to really help us be true followers of Him. Not to just be, a follower one day, a Friday for 3 hours. After you meet Jesus, He's thinking about this. Jesus is thinking about you 24/7. 24/7, Jesus has you on His mind. We should try to do the same back. And that's, that example of Peter, might be clumsy today, but that example of Peter is like,